The Werewolf of London was a 1935 horror movie. It's part of the Universal series. It was directed by Stuart Walker and starred Henry Hull as the werewolf. So this was part of the Universal Monster series, but even though there's a werewolf in the film, it didn't actually star Lon Chaney Jr. And to be honest, I prefer the Lon Chaney version. And I'll get to that in a minute, but let me just quickly summarize the plot. So this character, Henry Hull, plays this character, Wilfred Glendon, and he goes off to Tibet looking for this rare plant. And while he's there, wouldn't you know it, he gets bitten by a mysterious wolf-man creature. And he returns to London, goes about his business like normal, like nothing's wrong, but this character shows up, Dr. Yogami, played by Warner Oland, and warns him that he was actually bitten by a werewolf. He's going to become one, but he can sort of ward it off for a while with this mystical mariphasa plant. So Glendon doesn't really buy it, but weird transformations start to take place, like hair growing on his hands and stuff. So he starts to, believe in it, but all the while this is going on, as if this wasn't bad enough, his wife Lisa, played by Valerie Hobson, is starting to reconnect with a former romantic interest, Paul Ames, played by Lester Matthews. Yeah, it's bad enough to be turning into a wolf, but it doesn't help when your wife is showing interest in another guy at the same time. So, also to make things worse, this Yogami character, who actually turns out to be a werewolf as well, surprise, he starts stealing some of these mystical flowers, and, that just leads to conflict, and the two of them get into a battle with one another. So everything seems to be going really sour for this poor Henry Hull character. I'll leave the review at this point. I thought the film was decent, with some entertaining effects, but ultimately it was just kind of a bummer. This Glendon character, Henry Hull, he's fine, but I don't know, I just got this vibe he was more irritated more than anything, and I guess that's understandable, but he just wanted to endlessly spend time in his lab or locked away at an inn, because he's the wolf man and he's trying to figure out what's going on biologically. But you know what? The film just did not have the same appeal to me as, say, the Lon Chaney versions, which I think are incredible. Those are some of the greatest of the Universal classic monster films. And you just can't top Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman. Henry Hull does a fine job, but as far as that tortured character, Lon Chaney Jr., he nailed it so much better. And to be honest, I liked the atmosphere and the environment of those Lon Chaney films better, with the foggy forests and the mystique of the gypsy characters and so on. I thought that was really cool. Didn't really get as much of it here. Instead, it's just Henry Hull turning into a wolf. He's got this Dr. Yogami messing with him. His wife is, losing interest in him, and it just seemed like his world was falling apart. It's a good story. It's a good Universal entry, and it's worth checking out. But again, I know I keep saying this, but it just doesn't top the Lon Chaney Jr. versions. Those are the werewolf films to check out. But, Werewolf of London was decent, came out in 1935. It's a good entry in the Universal series, so check it out. But you can't beat Lon Chaney Jr.